have an actual non-manager here. Thanks, Pat.
Good to see you, Pat and Tom.
Hello.
Oh,
Everyone.
More than one non-manager here.
I invited the database group this time. I will have you know.
Tom, I'm jealous of your weather there. It's just so beautiful outside.
Oh yeah, it looks like it looks fake, but it's real.
I was talking to Dylan the other day, and he was telling me about how their holiday parties were at the beach, and back when you could have holiday parties.
Yeah, we have Christmas on the beach with sand and barbecues, which is really weird, but yeah.
Okay, we are 1 minute past the hour, so let's get started. Welcome everyone. Today is 2022 February 3rd. This is the Enablement Subdepartment retrospective for the release 14.7. Okay, so let's get started from the praises for our team members. Steven, you want to get started?
Yeah, sure thing. A little bit of context on this one. I'd say it's a little sparse in the comments, but over the holidays, we were, I won't say hit hard, but we were impacted by folks being out, and it got us in a situation where we just had more deliverables planned than we were going to be able to complete. And it's taken us a little bit of time to get back on track, but we're at a more sustainable number of deliverables, working with both product and the team, DJ, of course, included. I just feel like we were getting off into a direction where it was unsustainable, and we've been able to correct that in large part by this release. Over to Craig.
Yep. Okay. So during this milestone, Camille created a script to automate the creation of merge requests for the removal of foreign keys and creation of loose foreign keys. And this greatly accelerated our timeline, and while also reducing the ability to introduce human error. I think by our measurement, it got us ahead by a couple weeks by Camille creating the script. So thank you, Camille. That was huge. And on to CZ.
Thank you, Craig. So for me, I'd like to thank Nick for organizing two awesome sessions for the prioritization activities using Mural, which is a very creative and effective way to organize such activities. And also for the memory team, there are kudos among the team members for the projects like creating dedicated Redis instance for session keys, and also for consolidating providing tools. And also Nicola wanted to thank Alexei, Igor, Sean, and the whole scalability team for their help around the Redis instance work. Okay, and Matthias has kudos to Camille for help optimizing the new Golang implementation of metrics exporter, which is still in experiment stage. It's not production ready yet, but Camille helped to do a lot of optimizations. And also Matthias gave kudos to Alexei and Roy for the profiling tooling work. I think that's all from me. I'll pass to Tom.
Oh, I've been enjoying the shared sharding group and database group team building activities. It was fun. It was a great idea to get to know each other. So thanks to Alex for sending it out.
Cool. I have a couple for Nick. Gio. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks Ian and Douglas for helping unblock a large self-managed customers migration to their new 10K environment. And then just in general for the team, they did a great job breaking down work and keeping cycle times efficient this last month. And as a nice benefit of that, we achieved our second highest team MR rate over the last 2 years.
Nice. I guess I'm just saying thanks to Matt Kesa for joining us from the configure team. Matt is joining us for the upcoming milestone, and we're excited about that. Our other exciting praise was for Joam, who became a database maintainer, which means that team I think has 2 database maintainers, the configure team, which is pretty neat given how little database work that team typically does. We love database maintainers.
That's cool. So thanks everyone for the contribution and for this. This is a great release. Action items follow up. So we only had a few action items for me. Change the template of this retro. So that was done. New format is here. Everybody, thank you everybody for working on this new format. And also alternate the meeting time between the EMEA friendly and APAC friendly time zones. So that was done too. So today is the first iteration is APAC time. The next release will be more EMEA friendly. So we will see a different set of people or different set of faces in the next retro. So that was done. And then moving on to what are your suggestions for improvement? So first one is from Ian. Is Ian here?
I don't think so. I kind of added it on his behalf,
Oh, okay.
so I can verbalize. But it came up. It's not a totally new discussion topic, but it did come up in this last retrospective because Ian had added support for a couple of data types that were missing from our backup restore rake tasks. And so the comment was that we have a bit of boilerplate code which needs to be added for each data type when we back it up. It might be worth investigating a self-service framework which we have for geo replicables, or perhaps somehow tying into the current geo framework and allowing that to support backups. So just to go through these points, problem to solve is that there's we're kind of doing the same thing over and over for most of these data types, at least the file blob based ones that we had added in the this last release. And then the proposal, investigate some sort of framework or what it would take to include this in the geo framework. Expected outcome would be that it's easier for teams to self-serve and add backup restore support for any data types that they add. And then an action plan. We don't really have capacity right now to take on backup work, but I think we could probably create an issue or epic and at least start some discussion on that and gather ideas and prepare it for future scheduling.
That's a good suggestion. Anyone want to share your thoughts or ideas around this suggestion or anything to discuss? The self-service framework is pretty cool from the Geo team. So that was really a productivity tool for everyone. I mean, for the development organization. So I'm typing action items. Looks like we need just first action item is to build an epic for the boilerplate code. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, or I'd say maybe an epic for some sort of self-service framework for backups.
Cool. Anyone has any other thoughts around this discussion? We didn't.
As someone who previously was a user of the self-service framework and also has done things with the backup side of the GitLab application, this would be amazing. Especially as new things are added that need to be backed up. Like it's really difficult to add things into backup right now.
Cool. Yeah, probably this is very specific to Geo, and other teams may not have a good context of what this could be. Okay, if that's all about it, then move to Alex, your suggestion.
Yeah, so this actually is not my suggestion, which I corrected to make sure that I'm giving credit to Andreas who brought this up, which is we've been struggling recently with the level of database, not just maintainers, but also reviewers, and trying to figure out how we can scale the database review and maintainer process with the organization. So right now it's causing bottlenecks on other teams, and when those teams need more resources, they come to the database team, which is not scalable for us either, right? Because there are not very many of us. And even if we added people, we have a very large development organization at this point. So I guess the problem we're trying to solve is that there aren't enough database reviewers or maintainers. And so the first proposal is to do something that Craig did a while ago. Thanks, Craig, which is look for groups that generate a larger number of backend reviews, or users in particular, developers in particular, who develop more backend reviews, and then try to talk them into becoming reviewers or maintainers. But I think the idea is we want to try and actually get more of them, right? So I think for an action plan, we want to create a dashboard that looks at, so Craig has one that shows reviewers and trainees and maintainers on a team, and we want to try and compare that with the number of reviews that team generates that require database review, so that we can kind of look and see where there are mismatches, and then encourage those teams to find reviewers either within or within their section, so that they can be a little bit more self-service for their database needs. I'm sure Craig doesn't have any thoughts or ideas about this at all.
Yeah, I think it's all pretty well communicated in the issue that is listed under bullet point E. So.
Yeah, I copied one issue there for async brainstorming. So welcome to dump your suggestions there. But also I have one thought here to see if that everybody's opinion here. I wonder if it makes sense to set a goal of the DB maintainer ratio for like per stage or a section, because per group probably is unrealistic because groups are usually smaller, but the stage and the section might be appropriate size of the a group of backend engineers. But looking for opinions whether that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's. Go ahead, CZ.
I'm not sure about. I'm not trying to fight what Joe mentioned. I have another idea. Maybe we can proactively grow the maintainers. For example, I wonder whether you consider to offer more trainings to the backend engineers to help them understand more about our database, and let more engineers feel comfortable to become a reviewer and a maintainer.
Yeah, that's actually something we've talked about a little bit, is trying to craft at least reviewer training so that you can, with examples of common review situations and ideas of how to handle them. So that's a really good idea, and that's definitely something we're talking about. Trainings is key for helping people come up to speed on how we want that done.
Dylan, you want to verbalize your
Yeah,
first question?
I was thinking that this seems like generalizable across the other reviews as well for backend reviews. I certainly remember that in the past, there were some teams that had much less ambitious targets for getting maintainers on their teams. And what it would be interesting to see is the kind of overall, comparison of how many teams are getting, how many reviews each teams are getting and how many reviews each team are giving or being requested. And database could just be a subset of that. So yeah, engineers per maintainer, that's one metric. Is that a team-based metric that you linked me to, Greg?
No, that's all of development.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to see if you said, okay, by stage or by group, how many times are you requesting database reviews or backend reviews, and how many times are people requesting database reviews or backend reviews of you? And that could possibly shed some light on which teams could have targets set for the next OKRs to expand on that.
So yes, I have a table for something similar to that as well.
Because I think one concern you might have if you tried to encourage database reviewers across all of development is some teams might say, well, we have less database needs, so it doesn't make sense for us to invest in putting database reviewers on our team. But if we had data to say, well, you're requesting database reviews of us just as much as anybody else, so there should at least be somebody in your team working towards that goal.
I had that somewhere. I actually did. Oh, here it is. Huh, it's not working. Sorry, I did have a table that showed which groups are requesting reviews. And it was in that thread somewhere. So let me find it. There's definitely a top X, right? Top teams that are asking for a number of reviews. It's in the retro, I think, somewhere. I've done a bunch of research on this. To some of the points I've heard, it would be boiling the ocean to ask every team to provide a reviewer or a maintainer or both, right? So we did do some targeted research. It's like, okay, these top 5 teams, these are the top 5 teams asking for the most database reviews. Let's go ask them if they don't already have a minimum of a reviewer and optimally a reviewer and a maintainer, or at least a path towards that, so that we could start sharing and up-leveling all of engineering. Because even with the hiring goals that database has for the year, it's still a matter of teaching rather than doing, right? We don't want to get in the mindset of, I have a database review, let's just throw it over the wall. We don't need to learn anything. Database will take care of it. We'll get it back and assume that it works. We need to up-level the entire engineering org, and we're just trying to find ways to approach that and using data to justify our suggestions. So let me find that table where we figured out which teams are asking for the most database reviews.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's on that same dashboard. Isn't it groups requesting database reviews?
Not the same dashboard probably, but I think we.
Yeah, mine's not rendering though. For some reason, it's not showing any numbers.
At group level, probably it's not realistic because the groups are so small. It's hard to ask each small group to have a one DB maintainer, but at stage level, probably that makes more sense in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it could help justify that even further if we had per stage numbers on how much each stage is requesting database reviews, because you might otherwise still get the feedback that some stages are unique and don't need database stuff as much. If we had data to suggest they do need it, then that team doesn't have an excuse to not be investing some of their time into working towards a database maintainer.
Okay, Alex did find a renderable table. Mine's not working for some reason. So unsurprisingly, sharding and database are the top 2. But then after that, by group, it's package, runner, thread insights, workspace are the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so.
The Camille bot is the excuse, is the reason for the outlandish number for group sharding.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So the idea is to target these teams with the highest number of requests to see, like, do they have at least a reviewer, and if not, pick someone for tribute, right? And then we can pair with them to make sure that they are comfortable and they get up to speed and they can be more efficient internally, and then start, encouraging them to go down the maintainer path. But some of these states are fairly ephemeral. Like I expect sharding to go to near zero in a couple months, right? And maybe they don't need as much review support. But yeah, data-driven approach, not trying to get every single group to provide a reviewer or even a maintainer, because there's the timing problem and the use it or lose it problem. So, and we've tried the general broadcast before of, hey, we need more maintainers. And now we need to go to specific teams and stages and say, we need you to provide some reviewers and maintainers to help us up level the whole org. So it's still in the very early stages of conversation, but ideas are welcome and lots of data has been gathered.
A specific, in that vein, a specific call out thanks to the operations configure team for their 2 database maintainers that they have, even though they don't appear on this list of groups that have lots of database reviews. So thanks for them.
Yeah. So yeah, this table is great. I will make a pivot table from this to get a better view, but I think we can start from this table and get some idea around whether stages make sense to set a goal for maintainers, and based on this producer consumer model. It's cool. Yeah. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I had a question. I think Craig kind of answered it, but I just wanted to understand, like, if what is the general recruitment strategy for database reviewers and maintainers? And it sounds like there are maybe some regular calls, but that was kind of my thought is, is there like a general visibility issue that working on might help, or are we at this place of needing to target specific teams? It sounds like that is where we are, but I was just curious if there's anything else that we're kind of doing regularly to make those calls visible.
Yeah,
we're a cool elite group that everyone should want to join.
There's been 2 previous OKRs. The first one was kind of a scream for help for anybody, because we had Andreas as the only maintainer at the time, and I think we had 0 reviewers. And then there was a second round where the reviewers got back down to 0 because we converted them all to maintainers. So another request for help. And since then, it's been more of a pointed, like, hey, I see your team's asking for a lot of database reviews. Can you provide a reviewer to help streamline the process? So again, this is just kind of a maturation of previous processes, and noting that as the entire engineering org grows, so do the needs of the database, right? And database review, database efficiency. So it's knowledge that we need to share across all of engineering, and not have it just be like, okay, I wrote a query database to make it fast for us, and then we'll ship it. And can you do it now? Because we have a milestone goal that we're trying to meet. So again, we need to up level the whole org, and this is an approach we're trying to take with it.
Yeah, and just a pivot table looks really, really helpful. I can see a lot of those groups are in dev. So project management package, authentication, integrations, workspace, import. Those are, if we sum together, those are from the dev section actually. And they only have 1 item here.
Half Adam's half.
That's right.
Half of item, yes. So
I was going to ask if they even had that much.
So I think we have a good data here. Does that make sense that we propose something? Yeah. Alex, do you want to take an action item from here, like summarize the data we have, then make a proposal for at least probably per section, or even better per stage, just set a goal. So I'm happy to collaborate with you, partner with you to drive something development wise.
Yeah, so I think the first step here is set up that dashboard with the comparisons, and then, which, did you already do that? Are you like 4 steps ahead of me? Maybe. Oh, Andreas already had that table too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I'm
And
getting there.
He's got a summary underneath the table with the top 5 groups without a local maintainer.
Oh, that's so useful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the action item, I guess, is follow up with those sections to with this data and suggest and ask them for suggestions of people, or
Yeah, I'm typing there to set a DB maintainer ratio goals, either section or stage. Yeah. Does that make sense? It's just that, we consolidate data of the DB maintainers per stage and the section, and then compare that to the DB MR review requests to those stages or sections. Then initiate a proposal to work at development level to set a goal, kind of a ratio goal for either per stage or per section.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Cool. Okay, we're 2 minutes over. Good discussion. So
Actually, we're not over because it goes a little.
yeah.
This one runs a little longer.
40
I
minutes.
just had one more announcement that I wanted to make that I neglected to make earlier, if that's okay.
Okay, so do we agree this suggested action item is good to wrap up this discussion? Okay, move on to Stephen.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that Mitch somewhat recently became a maintainer. It was actually before the holidays, and I neglected to mention it, but we spent a good few minutes talking about the importance of maintainers and all the good things that happen when we have more maintainers. And so I did want to give Mitch a call out, particularly on the operator project. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of context that has to be gained, and he's the first operator beyond. First maintainer of the operator project beyond Jason. So that's a pretty strong accomplishment. So thank you, Mitch. Take a bow if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, everybody.
That's a significant step forward for the team and for yourself too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all for the retro today? Okay, going once, twice. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Good to see new faces here. Thank you.